This episode of the podcast is brought to you by HRH Combat Arms. They can turn your vision into reality. They specialize in gunsmithing and Cerakoting. Your Cerakote specialist is Air Force veteran and retired police sergeant Paul Ware, aka the Sarge. He can Cerakote your firearms, auto parts, tools, even your sports equipment. And then your master gunsmith is Marine veteran Steve Miller. This veteran-owned business is located at 5025 Saunders Suite 103, Fort Worth, Texas 76119. You can call them at 682-304-0363, and you can find them online at www.hrhcombatarms.com. That's www.hrhcombatarms.com. All right, back again, Two Cops, One Donut. I'm your host, Eric Levine, and today I have a special guest from the hose dryer side, kind of.
Oh, that hurt.
I know. You're a little bit of both. Name's Keith Ebel, and he is a arson investigator.
That's correct.
So the cool thing for those that don't know about an arson investigator is they are not just certified firefighters. They are certified peace officers, too, on the police side.
That's correct.
So you hold dual creds.
And then usually there's an EMS certification, and then some of us have a fire inspector certification. So there's 4, sometimes 5 certifications, depends on what department we're with.
So it's safe to say the first 5 years of your career is just school.
Yeah,
probably not quite that long.
Started back in 87, but yeah, 87, 88, 89 is my peace officer, firefighter, investigator time. So basically since 89, I've been doing it.
Okay. So point of this show is, one, education. If we're ever going to bridge the gap between us and the community, one, people need to know all facets of the criminal justice system, first responders, all that stuff. So that's kind of the point. You're a unique bird out there in the world. There's not a lot of you, for sure, when it comes to, I mean, when you think of police officers, there's not a lot of arson investigators, and you run across them even less as a police officer. Like, I hardly ever see arson investigators.
There has to be a fire.
Yeah.
So people don't have a fire in their lifetime, and some people have one. So the odds of running into us are, slim to none, unless it's, the departments we're with and they, multiple fires in different areas of town. But the individual citizen, they have no idea.
Take that mic and just aim it towards your mouth a little more. You don't have to move the whole unit. You can just see how this goes up and down. Yeah. There you go.
How about that?
That'll work? Yeah. Keep talking. I just want to hear you in my head.
You hear things in your head?
Yes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. The normal citizen does not see us. They don't know. They don't see us. Hopefully they don't see us a lot, because if it is, there's a problem.
Yeah, there's too many fires.
Fires.
Where I was at in Flint, when the shop shut down and the jobs disappeared, and those that could escape did, and those that couldn't tried to get by, and the rest turned to crime. And then you got these dope houses, trap houses, all that stuff that turned into just, what do they call it? Condemned homes. They condemned them.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden fires everywhere.
Yeah, that's the problem. We haven't had it recently. Matter of fact, with COVID, our fires have been down, but we think with the stimulus checks ending, a lot of people trying to get back into the workforce, and a lot of recreational vehicles have been bought. If you try to buy a boat or an RV or anything here lately, you just can't find them. So the people that were able to get out, they bought these. So as the economy turns and people start not making as much money as they had, they're going to start liquidating some of their assets, and that's where I think it hadn't hit us yet, but it's going to, when we're going to start seeing people burning stuff to get rid of things.
I'm super glad you're here, because this is one of those jobs that I know so little about, but I'm so interested in. I'm interested in the arson investigators. I'm also interested in the bomb guys, the what do they call them?
Bomb techs.
Bomb techs. Yeah. I think because they have to have some sort of fire training as well.
Well, add everything that I do, now put the bomb tech certification on top of that.
Oh, yeah.
So, like the guys in Fort Worth and Arlington, those guys have everything that arson has, and now add their bomb tech on top of it.
Oh,
so there's cool. CE hours, there's training, so there's even that on top of everything else.
No shit. Man, I was this close in the Air Force of doing, it's called EOD, explosive ordnance disposal.
Yep. Because now it's different because the EOD you do in the military is a different type of EOD, where the IEDs are what the bomb tech guys in the area in the States deal with.
Right.
So EOD would have been rockets and missiles and stuff that.
Oh, no. EOD still deals with IEDs that are buried in the sand. They got all the robots, all that stuff.
Right. Yeah, but typically, like the civilian bomb squads don't usually handle military ordnance.
Oh, okay.
They may handle a hand grenade. They may do something with that to make them safe, and then do what they do later with it. But if you get something that's military ordnance, we'll call Fort Hood or Dias or something like that, and they'll fly their techs in here, their bomb guys.
That makes sense.
Because they understand how to diffuse it. They know how it works. We just kind of safe distance and keep everybody away from it.
All right. We need to go in a chronological order. I'm going to go all over the place on this because I get so interested in it. But for those listening, it is November 21st. I have tweaked my sound on this episode because I'm trying to get the gainy sound out of there. So I want some feedback on this episode. So if you can jump on YouTube, Facebook, whatever, and you listen to episode 34, this is episode 34. Let me know how the sound comes across on your radio, on your phone, over your earbuds, however that is. So, all right, let's go. Let's chronologically go down the rabbit hole here. How did you first start getting into? I mean, what led you to this path?
Got out of high school, went straight into the military, U.S. Army.
Oh man,
yeah, I know. Military police. Stationed in Fort McClellan, Alabama. Did my AIT and basic there. Then I spent a short time, see the world, go all over the world. I went from Alabama and stationed in Fort Hood. And I lived in Arlington. So it's like, join the military, join the Army, and you're going to see the world.
Right.
I just saw a big rock called Fort Hood. But so we came back and I got out, went back to Arlington and then started my law enforcement career. And then I had a friend of mine who was a volunteer in the fire department. He said, hey, come down, volunteer. So I'm looking at the volunteer and I looked at the paid side and they work 24 and they're off 48. And on the police side, you work whenever. Holidays doesn't make a difference. I'm like, I like that gig, that fire gig. So the bug, I got bit by both bugs. And then since probably 89, I've been doing both fire and law enforcement together in one capacity or another.
That's so awesome to be able to say. Because most cops aren't going to admit it, but there's a level of coolness on both sides.
Oh, it's completely different.
Yeah.
But because there's something about, going into a building and dragging a burglar out.
Right.
And there's something about going inside a fire and putting a fire out that a fireman look at the burglary guy and go, I ain't going in there. And then the police officers look at the fire going, I'll direct traffic, I'll keep the crowd away, but I'll make the scene safe, but I'm not going in there. But I could do either one of them and not have a problem with it. My
grandpa was a firefighter, and he ended up becoming the chief of the fire department up in Michigan. And as a kid, I mean, he had his own personal truck, but it was outfitted with lights and siren. Right. If he had to respond, like you're not on duty all the time, but if there's a fire, you got to go. So he took me. I was in the truck with him, and most of the time he would leave me at the station with somebody who, like, if I happened to be with him as a kid, if there was somebody at the station, like, hey, watch Eric while he goes and does his thing. There's nobody at the station at the time.
So you're crawling all over the fire trucks.
So I got to go with him. Well, he didn't ride in the fire truck. He always rode in I called it the fire van, but
the chief car.
Yeah, pretty much. Right. And it was a van, so it was kind of funny, but it had a lot of medical equipment and stuff in there too. Well, I'm sitting in the front passenger seat, and we get to a house fire. Now, I can feel the fire from across the street in the van to the point where I had to get out of the front seat and stand behind the van between me and the house. And I'm serious. I'm across the street and I can still feel the heat. As a kid, it was probably more intense than what it really was, but it was intense heat. Well, I see him bringing something over, like 4 or 5 firefighters bringing something over. It was a girl my age, maybe a little older. I couldn't see that until they got to the back of the van. I jumped back in the van because I want to see what's going on. And then my grandpa get clicked in his head. Oh shit, Eric's in the front seat. And I remember him going, don't look back here. And I was like,
you look back
I'm
there.
Looking back there now.
Right.
And it was a little girl. She was burned pretty bad. And it gave me the bug because I thought it was really cool that they helped somebody. But then I think that's what turned me off later on. And like when I started to think about it, I think there was some sort of minor PTSD as a kid that I would never want to go into a fire, and that happened to me. And
oh no,
yeah,
we're running in.
Yeah, and the smell and all of that, and so I ended up going down the police side, obviously. So, but yeah, my grandpa was a badass, and you grow up respecting your family that are willing to do any of that, whether it's medical or
and we're big
FD.
family. I mean, we tease each other all the time, firemen, but absolutely have each other's backs.
Yeah,
and I've seen that before where a fireman took an axe and kapowed a suspect beating up on a police officer, and so we tease each other. The general public, especially on social media, we'll tease each other, and someone on social media is like, "Man, be cool on it." It's like, we're cool.
My favorite is
we are cool.
My favorite's when and this works for the military too. We'll be busting each other's balls, like I'm Air Force, so obviously chair force
high enough on the exam,
and then
if you score lower than the Air Force, is it the Marines?
Oh no, Navy.
Where's the Marines?
Marines at the bottom.
Okay, what about the Coast Guard?
They're not military.
Okay, I got a friend of mine's coasting. If he sees this, I'm in trouble. But hey,
they're not military.
Yeah,
one of my buddy Brad Davis from high school. He did the Coast Guard, and we give each other shit all the time. I'm like, it's nice somebody was here swimming in the pool while we were.
But we can do it, because we did it. A person, an outsider, do it. It's like,
and that cracks me up. Somebody will jump in, and I'm like, shut your mouth. Like you can't.
You haven't raised your hand and swore to take that oath that had no expiration date. Right. We have, so just chill out.
Now I'll give my dad shit because he retired from PD, but he'll jump in on that bandwagon just to mess with me. Like, how would you know? I'm like, oh, you motherfucker, you didn't even sign up.
Yeah, but you're right. It's all in fun, but absolutely have each other's backs. Unconditional, so that's always good to know.
Yep. So so you get you get this call for service. You do the military, which thank you for your service.
Same to you.
How long did you do?
Not long.
Just your 2-year, 4-year commitment. 2-year commitment. Man, I wish they had those when I was going in. I signed up specifically to finish my degree. I wanted to finish my degree while I got in, and then
the GI Bill.
Stuff, and then I ended up liking it. I was trying to stay in for an additional 2. I did my 4-year enlistment.
Right.
And I wanted to do K9. And
air police?
And it
those dogs are
they're badass.
Yes, they are.
And so it just didn't work out. The cards didn't fall the right way for me. So I was like, I got my degree now. I got it while I was still in, so got it completely free. So I was like, I can make it as a cop anywhere. So I'll just go do that. And so that's what I did. But I stayed reserve, so still in the reserves, to be honest.
No, that's cool. Not bad. Nothing wrong with that. No, nothing wrong with that at all.
Well, my insurance is a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
So
we won't go into VA doctors.
Oh yeah, no. I still go to my own private doctors.
Right.
Yeah, I ain't going to the VA. But okay. So you get out of the military, and
I became a full-time police officer at the academy. Became a police officer, volunteer fireman.
So you started police first.
Oh yeah,
Hell
absolutely. Yeah, but I saw the light.
That's fair.
That's fair, right? I mean, the light was the shift work, the 24/48s. I mean, that's and now departments are going 48/96s, where they work 2 days or off 4. So, for the people out there listening, study hard, become a fireman. You got cool days off.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. And you got lift partners and the best cooks ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I tell police officers, get in good with your firemen. Find out when lunch is, pitch in on lunch or dinner.
They feed you.
Oh, yeah, they will. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, my buddy Ryan Timmons, he was always good friends with a lot of the FD guys downtown where I work, and all the time he's like, hey, they're about to eat. You want to come? And I was like, at first I avoided it because I felt like I was intruding and I didn't want to be that guy. But then I realized these dudes cook so much damn food. Like,
they wouldn't notice another mouth to feed. Yeah.
No. Yeah. So.
And pitch in, pitch in, offer to pitch in, and offer to help clean up.
Yep.
And if you do that, you're solid. And the firemen joke with you, they like you. When they kind of standoffish, they're like, they haven't figured you out yet.
Yep. Or you're a douche and they don't like you.
Yeah, that's true too.
And that's how it works with police work. In police work, I'm like, you have people, man, they're always picking on me. I'm like, listen, let me pull them to the side.
Yeah.
If they're teasing you, they like you.
Right.
That
hasn't changed.
You're a part.
Yeah.
It's like, but if these guys ain't joking about you and they don't say much to you other than work related crap, you're on the outs, man.
And they want to see how just thick your skin is, but they don't.
Yeah.
You know, it's just you know it is.
Oh yeah. And as soon as we find the chink in the armor,
oh my God, you're done.
Yeah.
And don't ever come into the station and tell them something that you don't want.
Right.
Because there's telephone, telefireman, telegraph. You know, it's just the whole thing. And police, it's like they share stuff and like, oh, I can't believe you said that.
Right.
You know, because then they'll poke at you and tease you the whole time. It goes on and on. Okay. But it's all in fun. All right. So yeah.
So you signed, you're a full-time police officer and you're doing the volunteer firefighters.
Volunteer fireman. Had a friend of mine was a fireman. He said, hey, come volunteer. So you know what? I tried it and I got hooked. So I quit my police job and went to the fire academy. So there was a guy in the department that was give like a 6-month notice. Okay. So the chief said, hey, if you go to the academy, I'll hire you in December when so-and-so leaves. I'm like, so I told my wife, hey, I'm fixing to quit my job, do some part-time stuff. We're going to eat hot dogs and beans for a while, but, you know, this is what I want to do. And she's like, yeah, she supported me, so I got the job. You know, had they said it. And
what if she said no?
I don't know. That was we'll be married 39 years next month, so I forgot. I have no idea what she had said.
Well, the reason I bring that up is because there's a high divorce rate.
Oh, she worked for Arlington PD in the court system.
Okay.
So she understood the law enforcement side. Okay. Yeah, I took that. Yeah, there's a history there. So she knew that. So she's been around police officers. She knew the talk. She knew everything. So, but I still didn't share what I did on either side when I went home, unless she heard about it on the news or something. That I just never took my job home.
See, I did the opposite. I did the complete opposite of that. Well, the first point I want to make is there's a Facebook page, Married to the Badge, and their whole focus is on spouses and understanding and trying to get the education out there about like the lifestyle that you're signing up for, because all too often people marry into this line of work, whether it's FD, you know, military or police, and they get romanticized about the idea of having a spouse that does that type of work.
Yep.
But they don't understand what the life is like. And when that life,
the reality bulb comes on all of a sudden, and it's like,
when service is typically put to the top versus your spouse, because that ultimately that's what ends up happening a lot of times. You do the job because you're trying to help people, and your family takes a back seat. And if you're not ready for that, oftentimes that's where the downward spiral starts to happen. So I try to tell people, you have to have those talks. The reason, in the second part, the reason I bring up, I did the opposite with my wife. Nobody taught me this. I just came to the epiphany that like, this is a high divorce rate lifestyle. It was also a high divorce rate lifestyle in the military. So here I've got both. I got 2 jobs. Like, it's just,
you're up there to the percentile. Like, you getting divorced,
the chances of my marriage making it are not that high. So what can I do to combat that? That was a high priority for me because my mom and dad never got married. Her parents have been divorced 3 times. So, and we've known each other since we were 5 years old. So, I didn't want that to happen. And I was trying to figure out why that happens. Well, my own bro science that I did, I'm like, cops oftentimes, they don't share anything, the bad stuff, and they hold that stuff in. And everything that I've learned about traumatic stuff or things like that is you got to share it. It's got an outlet somewhere. You don't want it to be the bottle, which I love the bottle, but responsibly though.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah,
responsibly. Right. And so I kind of took the opposite approach. It doesn't mean it's the way, it's just a way. And I tell her all the bad stuff, the bad traffic accidents, the bad, child got hurt, all that stuff, child got killed.
No, I would do that, but I would never share my oh shit moments or my harrowing.
Yeah.
Those I would not share.
Like I went into a room and all of a sudden it flashed up and I shouldn't have been there.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't tell her that
or
stuff.
I have a burn on the side of my face. My wife looks at me and it's blistered when I got home and she's like, what happened? I said, it was nothing.
Yeah.
But damn it hurt like hell when it happened. I mean, literally, like you're saying, the mask on the fireman, they got the hood and then the mask and just moving around, I just accidentally separated it.
That quick, yeah.
Instant blister.
Dang. The things you don't think of.
Yeah. That's what I tell people. They ask, well, what is it like in a fire? I said, well, turn your oven on to 550 degrees and just jump in.
Yeah.
And then we got protective gear, of course, and equipment, but every bit of your skin has to be covered. And when they say that, I'm a testament to that, because if you don't, I mean, I walked out of the fire and they're looking at me like, and I'm like, oh, is it that bad? I looked in the mirror and it was a pretty good little blister, early second degree burn.
Yeah.
And it happened that fast.
So do you pop them or do you don't pop them?
You don't pop them.
That's what I thought.
No, you don't. And then you don't shave through it. So then you got like just freaking 900 hairs going all crazy because you can't shave it and you got to let it heal.
Right.
So it's a pain in the ass.
Oh man. Okay.
It's just the hazard of the job.
Yeah. And I want people, like I said, I want people to understand like what you're talking about is slightly different. You're talking about the dumb things that we tend to do. Not that you did it intentionally.
Yeah.
But I've gone, in a backyard, I didn't do the dog check, and the next thing I know, I got a dog on my ass real quick. And
how about you put somebody in jail and you lock your gun up in the gun locker and they get called out of the jail real quick, and you go running out to back up an officer.
Oh yeah.
You get on the scene and you go reach down and it's like, oh shit, my gun's in the gun locker.
I pulled a car over.
I backed the guy up.
Yeah.
And then when I got there, it was like, where's the shotgun? Crap. So now I put it, when I was doing patrolling, I put it in the back of my car, pop the trunk and set it there. So if I have to get out quick, I know where it is pretty quick. Yeah. So that's an awful feeling like, oh, this is not good.
Yeah. My FTO, he's like, we just got done from the jail. And he's like, all right, let's go do a traffic stop. I'm like, okay, cool. Go out, do the traffic stop. He distracted me intentionally to see if I would remember to get my gun, because we're, walking out of the jail, and he's like, all right, you want to go do a traffic stop? And I was like, whatever you want, boss. I'm on your time.
Yes,
yeah.
Sir, yeah.
So you want to pull a car over? I'll pull a car over. So pull this car over, and I do my, the officer approach to the vehicle, and I'm doing the standard, and I'm like, and he's already getting out of the car, and he's going in front of me, and all he does is have a nice day and
drive off.
Lets him drive off. And I'm like, he's like, forget something there, Slick. And I'm like, you knew, didn't you? And he's like, oh yeah.
Like on the fire side, we leave our helmet on the tailboard, and you're driving back to the station, and all of a sudden you're like, where's your helmet? And then there's a citizen knocks on the door about an hour later and goes, I found this on the highway.
Oh, geez.
And you're like, oh. So, yeah, we do it. I mean, yeah, fire, it happens. It happens. Or hose gets dumped off the back of the fire truck, and there's like 1,000 feet of hose down I-20.
I wanted to keep it so bad, but y'all left a door thing where you guys.
Halligan bar?
Yeah. I wanted to keep it so bad.
You want one?
I
can get you one.
Can you really?
I think I can score you one.
Oh, dude. Yes. Because so you're going
to put it up here as a prop with this nice little bugle?
I'm going to use it.
Oh. No, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we're in.
No, I'm going to actually use it. We do search warrants and stuff all the time.
Oh, this little candy butt, would you take in your Aspen and try to break a window out with it?
Yeah.
You take that Halligan, you just lean it on her, just dump it,
Yeah.
Break and rake.
Yeah, those things are sweet. But, okay. So,
so I did the police. And then I volunteered as a fireman, and then went to school and became a fireman, and then I reserved part-time as a police officer. So
how long were your academies? Your police and your fire?
400 hours, give or take a little bit.
Okay.
440, right in the 400s, both the police and the fire. And then the Arson Investigator school was 1 week. It was a 1 week school.
That's it?
Well, they just teach you enough to be dangerous. I mean, mind you, they're teaching you. It's like the academy's the same way. You get out of the academy like, yeah, he's just dangerous. We got to fine tune him and sharpen him up a little bit.
Okay.
And that's a fireman's the same way. So you know how to fight fire. You understand how fire progresses, and that's part of what we do. So people would ask us, well, how did you know? It's just fire burns a certain way. It does certain things. And we can tell by the burn patterns, the char patterns on kind of where the fire may have started, the room or area of origin. So they're teaching me more how to do the investigation side. But the problem with that is that if you take a fireman and you send him to the police academy and he's gone for how many months, then he goes to the investigator school, and now it's a 2-week class. Friday, when he graduates, he can have a huge fire Monday morning, and his fire chief's going to expect him to be a
seasoned detective on it.
Yeah. A potential felony, because fire is anything in the fire code. I mean, anything in the 2802 at arson, they're all felonies, state jail, and all the way up to a felony 1.
Yeah.
So you become a major case crime detective overnight. Now, I told a police chief, you went to your police chief and said, Chief, this is what I want to do. I want to go from this to the academy, and I want to be part of your homicide.
Yeah.
Never step in patrol. They look at you like you're nuts.
Yep.
So that's part of the problem with the arson side of that is, you don't have people that have had that law enforcement experience. But I was fortunate enough I got that street experience. I got that law enforcement experience.
Prior to, yep.
Because firemen are non-confrontational. That's what they are. Cops, on the other hand, that's what we do. That's how we do it. So you take someone, again, who's just been through the academy, goes through all that, and now he's got to sit down and hold an interview with someone, and you know as well as I do, sometimes you're going to get one shot at an interview. Because if you try to do it again, they're going to lawyer up, or what's going to happen. So they just don't know how to do it, but they're expected to do it.
Right.
So it's an issue. So where I work, we have a task force where we have different departments in the county and outside the county to help on large scale fires. So we can call 20 to 30 investigators out on a fire scene if it's big enough to assist people. So
okay, well, that's cool.
Yeah, so we do that. So so I actually rode motors for a department north of Fort Worth. I rode motors for 8 years.
Okay,
and that was back when T-Close didn't have a dual commissions. You had to have your commission only in one department.
Oh,
about 2000, 2001, somewhere around in there, they allowed the dual commission. Well, I left. I was working full-time fire, part-time police, and then I went to another, probably second largest department in Tarrant County, and I went over there with the arson department, over the arson fire prevention. Again, didn't allow dual commission, so I had to leave the police side of it. So my police commission went with that department, so I had to quit Saginaw.
Okay,
that's why I was with Saginaw with motors.
Gotcha.
Later down the line, T-Code goes, oh, you can have dual commission, so you can work in two different departments. So, but I've been doing one department ever since, and then I left there and came to where I'm currently at now. So I got 36 years, going on 36 years.
Dang. Not tired of it yet?
No, because it's different. Every fire's different.
Yeah.
You don't get the same thing every time. Everybody's story's different. So, no. I hate sitting in the office. I mean, you know as well as I do. You're on the scene for so much time, and you're sitting there typing for hours, sometimes days. But I like the field work. I like getting out there, looking at the fires and digging the fires out.
So what do you do? I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but what do you do when there's no investigations going on?
We do inspections. We do new construction. So we'll go out on job sites and do building construction, make sure the plans are being built according to the plans.
Okay.
If they have a fire sprinkler system, make sure that's being installed right. Fire alarm systems, hood systems for kitchens.
So industrial stuff, or do you do like homes?
No, we don't do residential. We do, now we'll do multifamily. So apartment complexes, stuff like that, but everything else is either commercial. So private one family dwellings like yours, no, we don't do those.
Say this may not be up to code. I don't know.
I'll tell you later.
I think it's pretty good.
I make a phone call. Hey,
yeah,
I know this guy.
What would you say if no? Okay, so you go through. You do your 1 week arson investigation school. That blows my mind. So I take
it's 2 weeks. Now it's 2. So there is a little bit more time. Yeah, I know. But it took until this year, 2021, 2022, to upgrade that. So it just recently went to 2 weeks.
Man, I would think, and this is just me spitballing on an idea, I would think somebody like me who's already a detective, has handled at least 2 years of general assignment to get your feet wet, so to speak. Those are the type of people I would try to recruit.
I can teach you how to do fire investigations. I can't teach a fireman how to be a cop.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
That's true. Yeah, exactly. And we've had that before. We've had guys that come in that weren't firemen, and they understood the law enforcement side, which is a broader brush, because there's, from the second you start your investigation to you testifying in court, getting your warrant, doing all that, there's all that law enforcement. There's that little part in there about fire growth, fire patterns, fire like that if you see a lot of them, you'll catch on.
Okay.
But the law enforcement side of it is, I can give you an investigation and go, the fire started in that corner. This is the cause of it. I think it was intentionally set. Here's your witnesses. Go talk to them. Yeah. Now, as on the fire side, do you know how to properly interview someone?
Right.
With you, here you could be like you're hitting the ground running.
Yeah.
You're just going to make sure that you make, and that brings into another part of it is when police officers are on the scene of fires, get us the information of witnesses. because people become really, they move around once the fire goes out. They're like, the fire's gone down. And then when we go to try to interview them, they're gone. Our potential witnesses are gone. Mm-hmm. So what's unique, what we do is we take the fire from cradle to grave. We don't have a patrolman come in and do the patrol report, turn it over to crime scene, who turns it over to CID, and then they do it. We take it all. So we do the crime scene on it. We file the case. We like I said, from start to finish. And it's real difficult if a police officer interviews someone, because they may be able to tell you, or they're telling the officer something, and you're not catching what's vital for us, because we may hear things going, it did what now? Or the fire acted, well, how did it act? Or what did it do?
Yeah.
That could be important to us because of the growth of the fire and the stages of the fire.
Right.
So we ask a lot of officers to do is just get information and put them in a corner somewhere. So when we get there, say, hey, they're over there. Yeah. Got some good witnesses. Because to me, and I know a lot of investigators, when we get a police report, a supplement about a fire, and we look at it, it throws us off.
Yeah.
Because we are used to talking to the people originally. We're used to generating that document. Yeah. And it's easier for us.
I can let you in on a little secret. Us detectives in the police world, we still have that problem with officers.
But that's the system. So, that's unfortunately, because I've talked to detectives before, and they'll show me a report, and they'll go, "Was he even there?" Yeah. You know, and you're like, and then when you interview people, they're like, "There's so much more that's been left out of it." It's like, what happened? And I've done it where I've gone and looked for supplements. You know, and there's no supplements.
No supplement, non-existent.
Yeah, and it's like, so, you know, then you got to back up and start over again. Yep. And if it's a witness, you have no problem.
I irritate officers sometimes because I'll be on a scene, you know, I'll get there and I'm like, one, why are all these witnesses just standing there together? Well, I don't want them together.
Right.
I don't want them talking to each other. I don't want them sharing stories. I don't want none of that. And most I don't want to make it sound like it's all patrol. Most patrol know this, but every once in a while, you have I had brain farts out there. I'd be out there, and you know, you get caught up in the moment, and you're just kind of enjoying the show because it's what it is. You know, best show on earth, and you get caught up in the moment, and you brain fart, and you're like, oh shit, I got to get these witnesses separated, whatever it is, or you don't do it, and the detective shows up and he thumps you on the head like, dude, and you're like, you're right.
I've done that on photographing a fire scene. And then go back and look at my photographs, go, how did I miss that? Yeah. And then you're like, you know, so, it happens.
It happens.
It happens.
But you'll get the patrol guys and you'll try to, like, coach them. Like, I need you to do a supplement. I need you to do a supplement. I need you to do a supplement. That's not typically how it works. Most of the time, you're the sheet officer. You're the one that's in charge. And officer 2, 3, and 4 tell you what they saw. And you add that into your stuff.
Right.
And, you know, officer such and such told me this, officer such and such told me this. Well, a lot of times my memory's terrible, so I'm not going to remember all the crap you tell me anyway. So I tell them, I want you to do a supplement. I want you to do a supplement. I want you to do a supplement. It's not my sheet.
And then how long does it take before the supplements are done?
Right. So I annotate in my notes, you know, hey, I told officer such and such, such and such to write supplements. So they're not off the hook. They got to do them. And I think most officers get that, but every once in a while you get the attitude like, oh, you're putting extra work on me. Listen, it's to save a lot of other people extra work. So, including y'all. So,
and it's a lot of times it's just educating. Sometimes officers don't understand, because if you look at 2802, if a person starts a fire but it continues to burn or whatever, and they think it's if you burned a dumpster, I've seen them arrest them for felony on arson. And again, you go down to the jail workout. Yeah. You look at the reports and you're like, where's the supplements on, you know, was this dumpster up against a building? You know, did somebody get hurt? Is there a threat? You know?
Oh, that's not a felony?
No.
I would have thought that was a felony.
Well, you're probably.
Anytime somebody sets a fire intentionally, I'm like, felony. That's not true?
No.
I mean, I get it if it's like in the middle of a field and there's nobody there.
No.
But no?
No.
Okay.
Here's what you do.
Lesson learned.
Call your on-duty investigator or on-call. I tell people we're a phone call away. Yeah. And usually you can say, hey, they burned. This is what they burned. Blah, blah. And we'll ask you the questions that we know that we have to have. And we may go, no, you don't have an arson. Now, there's a fire code, there's a code in there, negligent or deliberate burning, which you get people that just set fires because they want to be little jackasses.
Okay.
That's a fire code violation. So that could be up to $2,000 fine.
Okay.
So just because they didn't fit the 2802 arson statute, they may fit something else, and then usually it's the fire code. And you can stroke them a ticket. That's a city ordinance violation, and it depends on how much it is. Sometimes the department I used to work for, the window fine was $1,500.
Okay.
So if you walk down to the court and said, I got this for deliberate negligent burning, $1,500. So I've actually had people in jail, again, talk to the booking sergeant, and I'm like, jail sergeant, I go, is there more to this? Oh, he did a dumpster. So I'm like, we got a problem.
Yeah.
You arrested someone. I mean, you arrested them, but you got the wrong charge.
All right.
So I'll bring them out and go, look, if you tell me what you did and it's just a dumpster, I'll write you a ticket. So they're thinking a felony or a ticket.
Right.
And they're not stupid. So they write out a statement. Then I write them for negligent deliberate burning, and they walk out with a ticket.
Or they write it up and they talk themselves into a felony. That could happen.
Yeah. And then Miranda, and you got to make sure they're in custody. So there's a lot of stuff you got to make sure and say, look, if the report what the police officer said is true, and you did this dumpster, then give me a statement and we can make this into a Class C. And they're like, oh yeah, they can't get a pen and paper fast enough.
Okay. On average, because you're holding dual creds, what's the pay scale like for y'all?
Pretty good.
Yeah. Is it? I would think it would have to be higher than just being a cop or just being an FD.
Yep.
Okay. So what's the top outlook like for, I'm just trying to, anybody that's looking to get in a top 20 department.
Steve, what happens is that a lot of departments, you just don't come out of fire school and become an investigator in your big departments that pay well. Some departments you have to reach a certain rank before you can even apply for it. And then you have to test for it. And, so a lot of them are lieutenants. So they already come in making the money, and they have that experience.
Fire lieutenants.
Okay. So whatever fire lieutenant in Fort Worth would make is probably equivalent to a police lieutenant.
Okay.
With us, we're equivalent to a lieutenant in our department, which is in the 80s and 90s.
Okay.
So a lot of them that come in don't just jump into it. And if you do, you're going to start at the low end of it.
Right.
But as you build up the time and experience, and then you decide you want to go into investigations or prevention, you're already making the bank. So you're already making the money. Now you just got more certifications and more CE hours and all that.
So you're
stuff.
required to go through the fire academy to do your job. For
my job, yes. But for anybody wanting to do it, no, you don't have to.
Okay. You
don't have to. But to take someone off the street and do it, I would hire a cop, someone law enforcement in a heartbeat.
Okay.
Because we can teach you, not undermining the class, but you go to a week to 2 weeks now in it. So if they can do that in a 2 week period with a lot of OJT, I'd take a police officer with street experience and have an investigator then with none at all. Because so much of our job is law enforcement.
Yeah.
I mean, in the scene, when we're in the fire scene, that's where the fire part comes. The second we usually step out of it, then it goes into witnessing, interviewing, crime scene, all that stuff. So that's where the law enforcement flip the hat the other way.
Okay. Are you ever in the fire trucks loading up, wearing all the gear?
Oh yeah.
Bunkered up?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
That's
Fought
cool.
many a fire. The flashover thing you're talking about,
yeah.
Been there, done that.
Oh.
Again, it's a thrill. And when I tell a police officer, it's like, there's a bad guy inside that warehouse.
Yeah.
You don't have a canine. It's just you and your partner, and you're going in there and you get them.
Yeah.
Nobody gets killed, nothing happens, but you get them. That's the same way with the fire. You go in, everybody's running out. It's hot. You got your gear, you got your training, and it's a thrill. I mean, I don't know how to say that you go in somewhere and you should not be there. You shouldn't be there. Your body's telling you should not be here. Yep. It's hot. You should not be here. But you're like, there could be somebody in here that need to be rescued. Yeah. That's what we live for, is the fires.
I've got to put out 2 fires since.
See, I told you. Yeah. Now, how many times have you ever fireman had to be handcuff someone?
Right.
But you enjoyed it.
Well, I watched. FD actually helped out my partner. I'll tell that story in a second. I'll tell my fire story. So the first one, I was a rookie at this department where I currently work, and I was on my own. So I'm driving down the freeway. I see smoke up ahead. I'm like, oh, I asked dispatch, has anybody called out a fire over in this area? Nope, not yet. I said, well, get them started. There's something over here. I got to find it. So I start getting down there. As soon as I get off the freeway, there's a car fire. So I'm like, I got a fire extinguisher. Let me get down on this. So FD happened to be out and about. So they were super close. Well, they were coming. They could see the smoke and they could see the flames. And then the flames are suddenly going out. And I pretty much put it out with the fire extinguisher.
Were they mad at you?
They were mad at me because they could. They were like, "These are dangerous. This could have got out of hand." And I'm like, "Hey, I got it." I was like, I was trying to give high fives, and like none of them were having it.
Did anybody die? No.
Yeah. So like, I prevented this car fire, and it was pretty cool. And I got no kudos from them. They were. I think they were mad because they saw flames, and then
it's that cop and fire that we have with each other.
Yeah.
And then we also have with green lines. We call them garden hoses. So when we get on and there's someone put it out with a green line, it's like, all right.
You didn't get to use the good hose.
Yeah, we didn't get to pull our stuff off and show what we can do. But
and then the other one was maybe 2-3 weeks ago. It was a homeless campfire. Again, driving, I'm like, that's dark smoke, dude. Like, so me and my partner.
That's a key. Yep.
And we see it in like, I thought it was the power line. I thought the power line had touched a tree or something, because that's what it looked like. Then we get over there and I see it's a homeless camp. And then I became concerned because it was a bed. Like it was like pallets were on the ground, and then somebody had put a mattress. I couldn't see through the flames, like
to see if somebody was on it.
To see if somebody was on it. So I was like super nervous at first, and it had already been called in. So again, FD was right around the corner, and they show up, and I'm like, I don't think anybody's in there. I don't smell anything weird. I don't hear that, sizzling noise of liquid. That's
original recipe, extra crispy.
Yeah. So I'm like, and they're like, all right. And they're coming over, and I was like, can I use the hose? And I'm expecting like this guy, I think that's the one I'm expecting.
The little one?
Yeah. The little red one. Yeah. He's like, yeah, knock yourself out. I goes, I don't want to use that one.
Yeah. You can't hurt yourself. That's why we gave it to you.
No, boring. So
boring.
Yeah. So there was a little fire off of the big fire, and I went over and stomped the shit out of it, put it out with my boot.
That's been done before too.
Yeah.
Boots have put many a fire out before.
Yeah. So I was like, there we go. I just helped out. I put a fire out.
Now on the same lines, when a police officer pulls up on a scene of a fire, pull several houses away or down or from it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of documented times of officers get on scene and they rescue people. Hands down, they pull them out and they do good. But we've got to get fire trucks in there, ambulances in there. And then unless you want to be blocked in.
Yeah. And on top of that, the other one people don't talk about is your car getting filled with smoke. If the wind's right, oh my God, that doesn't go out.
Nope.
It never leaves.
No.
So I've seen that happen to guys. They're like, dude, my car reeks. I'm like,
well, see, that's funny. Just not too long ago, I assisted one of the officers out on a scene on an arrest, and this guy got thrown up.
Oh.
So he's in the back. Handcuff, he throws up, so we pull him out of the vehicle. It's a Tahoe. No, we're still at the scene, but they made the arrest.
Oh, okay.
So I just backed him up. They were shorthanded. Well, he's just going crazy. So when he threw up, he threw down on the floorboard. So they try to get the officer's going to get him back into the vehicle. So he goes to put his foot up and slips, and just slips, and he gets pissed. So he turns around, and the wheel well or the step is in a U shape on the Tahoes. So what he did was he took his foot from side to side and he sloshed it and got it all over me. His pukes all over me. So I'm like, oh. So we get him back in there. So I get in my vehicle. I drive an F-250. So I'm in that. And I'm like, this thing smells like puke. So right after that, there's a grass fire. So I ran down to the grass fire, and I intentionally rolled my windows down and let the smoke come in there to kill that puke smell.
Oh.
And it worked.
There you go.
But it took me about 2 hours to wipe all the soot out of it 2 days later because it was everything. My MCT, everything was covered in soot. So but I got rid of the puke smell.
That's well worth it.
Yes. And I was like,
yeah.
So when I get home from my wife and she's like, been in a fire today? Yeah. I wish I could bottle that essence of smoke.
Yeah.
And if cops can splash it on them, their wives would go, man.
You smell like a firefighter. So FD helped out my partner. I was on the bicycle unit, and they were eating lunch at, I want to say Salada. And a homeless guy was begging aggressively. He was like going out and just pounding on people's windows in their car. So, and it's a guy we've dealt with many times. He's not usually a problem. He runs his mouth a lot, but not usually a problem. Well, I took the other way just in case. There's two different routes this guy could have went. I went one way, my partner went the other. As I come around the corner, he's already on the ground fighting with him, and there's 3 FD guys pulling him off and pinning the guy down. So it was hilarious. You know,
pile on.
Yeah,
that's what I said when we started. We've got each other's back. We tease but when it comes down to it,
yep,
not a problem.
That was funny too, because you couldn't have got they were the mold of what you would think of when you think of big buff ass firefighter dudes. They was all those dudes, and the guy that they had pinned was maybe $130. So he's still trying to fight with him, but he couldn't move. That's too many. That's just too much. Yeah, it's too much. Yep. And those guys, they're just sitting there laughing. I was like, hey, if y'all still want to come over, it's never too late. So, yeah.
I guarantee they're like, nah, it's okay. Yeah, we're okay.
They're like, why would we go over there when we can do this and do that?
And there's no report.
Yeah.
Use of force? Whatever.
Right. So, all right. Well, so you get into this field. You're working where you work now, correct?
Right.
And
see, I got in the field on this side of it because I knew I didn't want to fight fires in my entire career, because it's a young man sport. I mean, it is. I mean, there's a lot of strength and agility and stuff you're going to do when you're actually fighting that fire, and it takes it out of you. You work a good fire. I mean, you're off 24 hours. I've had it to where one whole 24-hour day, I was, just rehydrating and just trying to get back into condition to go back to come to work. So, but it's a young man sport. So I thought way back then, get as many certifications as I can get, because even if I broke my leg, if I'm out on fire legitimately and I do something and I can't fight fire anymore, I need to have something as a backup.
Right.
So I did that early in my career, and I didn't have any injuries or nothing, but I just realized when the opportunity came and I liked investigations, I was like, this is the time to, so I went from a 24-hour shift to 8 to 5, and that was a big adjustment.
Is there any, maybe I'm jumping ahead, but is there any programs that y'all do to teach the public? Like teach the community, teach the kids. I mean, I know firefighters go and do the, stay low, stop, drop, and roll. They teach those things. But as far as the investigative side, is there anything that you...
No, it's not so much the public. Our side of it is, again, unfortunately, it's reactive, because we'll have a fatality fire and we find out there's no working smoke detector. Okay. So we would take that program and get it back, but the firemen do that. So the fire stations would come do that part of their fire prevention, talking with the kids and smoke detectors with adults. But unfortunately, we also see that side of it when they don't use them, or they had them and took the batteries down. I've worked fatality fires where we've had smoke detectors on the kitchen counter, 2 of them. They didn't put the batteries back in. Wound up killing someone because of it. And it's like, take a picture of it, document it, and go on. Yeah. So it happens. So
you guys are like the invisible men of police work. And I'm saying that just because people know about homicide detectives, people know about special victims units and things of that nature, traffic accident recreationists and stuff like that. These are all the big ones. Like, I didn't know you guys existed until I started doing the job. I never heard of. I mean, I knew there was an arson investigator, but I just always thought that was a firefighter. That's legitimately what I thought. Yeah. Had no idea that was a dual cred system.
And I have no regrets on the career I've had, and everything I've done, it's worked out great. Yeah. Yeah, I would tweak it a little bit, sure, but to say I should have never done that, no.
So what do you carry?
Glock 17.
You carry Glock? Is that a city issued thing? Or you? Okay. I was curious, like, I'm sure your guys' rules are a little different, because you got, who dictates that stuff?
I'm the firearms person for our agency.
So, okay. So it's not on the police side?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's what it's weird, because you're under these 2 umbrellas.
But we don't reinvent the wheel. If somebody else has got a policy out there, we'll just get in there and either PDF it and change things, or Word document and change it and go, these are authorized calibers, these are authorized manufacturers, so why go reinvent the wheel?
I gotcha.
So we do that.
I'm just saying, if I was an arson investigator, I'd be carrying this thing, just because why not?
Tackleberry.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'd be just like Tackleberry.
No longer. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a Glock. Believe it or not.
Oh yeah, it's a mutant Glock.
Yeah, that was my grandfather's 40 cal. It was a Glock 23 that I converted into a Glock. I guess it would be considered a 19, which is a
17
9mm.
and 19 is just 17 and 19 is the same thing. One's a little bit
Longer, yeah, longer. So I think 17. This is the 19 size, and so I converted it to something that I would actually use. That thing is so fun to shoot. I just have no holster for it.
Well, they make them.
I know. Well, I actually have to get this one specially made because it has the compensator and it's got the RMR and the light.
You have a compensator for a 9mm.
Oh, dude. I thought it was funny too.
If it can't handle it, go to a 22.
Dude, I'm telling you, shoot this thing. It's like shooting a 22.
Come on, really?
It's so fun.
Come on.
It's so fun.
Come on.
You say that.
I'm saying it.
Go try it. Go try it.
Oh, my God.
Go try it.
I'm also a firearms instructor.
Are you?
Yeah. In fact, our group, we shoot every other month.
Do you do CHLs?
No.
Nothing like that? Okay.
I do. Our Arson Task Force, we shoot every other month. We have 4-hour range time every other month, and we go out and shoot because the greatest liability the fire department has is our firearms. Yeah. But it's the least that we train on. So I was like, when I got to where I'm at now, I was like, hang on, we need to. And I told my boss that, and he said, okay. Yeah. So I set up range time. So every other month, in fact, the 30th, a week from Tuesday, we'll be at the range for 4 hours.
I get 100 rounds per weapon that I'm qualified in a month if I want.
Again,
if I want, I don't do it that often, but.
The biggest, not so much, well, even on the fire side, the biggest fire department as a whole, the greatest liability the fire department has, other than the paramedics and patients and stuff like that, messing that up, is the firearms that the investigators are carrying. Yeah. But it's the least they train on. Yeah. And that's just like, you've seen police officers, the only time they kick their weapon out of their holster is when they go qualify. Yeah. And they stick it back in there and it never comes back out again. Yeah. So it's a tool, and if I ever have to use it, I want to know. Mm-hmm. I can do it without thinking. Yeah. And yeah.
I think it would be cool to make you a police uniform, but it's red. No. Just like a police uniform, but red. Yes.
I wear a 511 that's got a star and 511 pants. I drive an unmarked vehicle. I don't want you to know who I am.
No, I want you to wear. I want it to be like a. And it's not your everyday uniform, but it's like if we have a special event or whatever, you have to show up in that monstrosity of a uniform, and you got to wear a felt red cowboy hat.
No.
Yep.
Not happening.
Yep. Thin red line. There you go.
You might want to have a more drink or something, because
I try to, if my guest drinks, I'll drink. If they don't drink, then I don't drink. So
I told you I'm not. Not that I don't want to. I know. I'm on call.
I get it. I get it.
I would, then I can blame it on you if you start doing it, like saying crazy stuff like me dressing in Santa Claus outfit or something. I'm like, hey, have another drink there. Right. Be okay. Okay.
So give me an interesting investigation you had, like one of your faves.
There's not, and the reason why is if I'm investigating something, there's a personal tragedy to somebody. If I'm coming out investigating your house fire, your house just caught on fire. Right. Your contents, you've lost everything that you've ever. I mean, literally, some people gone. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing salvageable. So I've never looked at them as interesting. I mean, they are, just try to figure out how it started, but the totality of it,
I get that. But I mean, for the love of the job, like I get people stolen cars back. I've dealt with people who have been injured based on a robbery and stuff like that. But it's the process that it took me to get there. That's what I'm talking about. Like that epiphany, like, oh my God, this is how I got to this dude, and this is how I'm thinking about it getting the bad guy.
I worked as serial arson.
There we go.
Back in the previous department. Oh, this guy, he set somewhere in the neighborhood about $7 million worth of fires. And he started in his residential area. It was a residential area, and he was using available combustibles. So what it means is he was just taking a cigarette lighter and lighting the front grills of cars. And the cars were abandoned vehicles, or they weren't running. Okay. So as these fires were being built, or as we were going to these fires, he was setting two at a time. So he would literally set one, and then around the corner he'd be setting another one. Okay. Well,
Is that what made them stick out?
Not yet. Not yet. So the fire department called us, and there was like 4 investigators. So we each work one or different, and then all of a sudden we had a meeting. We started coming up in the same area of town, and we're like, what's going on with it? So I was a supervisor at the I was a supervisor at the time. So I went back and I ran in the fire boxes, because the fire department has like map scopes, but they have fire boxes. So it's their district. So I ran all. They were different. They were coded a certain way. So I ran all the codes in that area going back 15, 20 years. And there was a whole bunch of little fires, little ones, from the time that house was from the time that area was under development to when I'm sitting there doing the fire.
So how many years had that been over, do you think?
20.
Holy cow.
I know I couldn't go back 20 because the RMS system they had at the time didn't transfer a lot of stuff over. It didn't. It transferred the call that there was a fire, and whether it was a rubbish fire or whatever it was. So I knew there were fires while houses were under construction.
Yeah.
Because the builder was the complainant or the victim in these things. So I knew based on the builder name, I said, okay, this is a house under construction, but we're still. So we mapped this thing, and he went from cars to vacant homes. So we knew whoever was doing this knew the area.
Yeah. Because,
you got to they're setting a pattern, and we're trying to figure out what's up with the pattern, what's significant about this pattern. So we, ourselves, our task force, ATF, they have CFI, Certified Fire Investigators. We set up on this area. We set up in different areas because it came down to a dead end, and it had a street, and it was just residential.
Yeah. So
we set up in different areas that if somebody walked at any given time, we'd catch them. So we had unmarked vehicles. We borrowed some pretty nice camera equipment. We had at our disposal. And this guy walks in front of me, and I'm like, it's February. I forgot what year it was in February. I mean, it was cold. So we couldn't get the vehicles running, but you had to roll the windows down so you didn't fog them up so you knew you were in there. So,
yeah.
Now, mind you, we're firemen trying to be cops.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you do this covert stuff? So we had to rely on our covert guys going, okay, now what do we not do? Okay, don't do this, don't do this. We're like, gotcha.
Yep.
Don't put your foot on the brake thinking. So
keep your
like,
lights turned off.
All of that.
Yep.
So, okay. So he walks in front of me. So he walks around the corner, and I tell another unit, I said, hey, he just left me. He's heading west, he's heading east, heading to your direction. So he passes them and then goes up the street. So we get out of the car, stockade fence, a lot of stockade fences. So we come around the corner. The street's a real wide street, and cars parked on the other side. So he walks up the west side of the street, and then he disappears. So as I come around the corner, the other guy said, hey, he walked up the west side of the street. We didn't see him cross the street. He did cross the street, but we didn't know it. So we crossed the street, and we're going to run parallel with him. We walk up the street, me and my partner, here he comes walking straight towards us. It's like, oh. So we walk past him and watch what house he goes to. Well, we run a criminal history on him. We got the house. We figure out who he was. We ran a criminal history. He had 2 previous arsons up north, out of state.
Oh.
Yeah, and the MO was the same way.
That's a red flag.
Yeah, big red flag. So the guy he restored an old Dodge Daytona Super B with the wing on it.
Yeah.
He had it in his garage. So we would drive by and watch him. So one day I figured, we couldn't figure out what was making this guy come out and set fire. Just got to be a reason. Sometimes they're sexually abused as kids. Sometimes there's different things, but you don't know until you interview them later on. Mm-hmm. So long story short, I pulled up in front of his house and I said, hey, look, there's been set up, I'm interested in his car. I was interested in his car, but I become a car enthusiast, so we become friends, supposedly.
Gotcha.
So I said, hey, do you mind if we sit in front of your house? There's been some series of fires around here, and then, if there's nothing going on, we're going to leave. So we would bait him. So what we would do is that he would know we were there.
Right.
So what we would do is that we would get him out. Now, when we left, there's 5 or 6 other vehicles sitting around waiting to watch this guy.
Yeah.
So we're trying to trigger
him. He
him.
Thinks the coast is clear.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't come out. Our fire stopped. He doesn't come out. We spooked him. So we finally got to a point where our fire stopped. Myself and an ATF agent, we went and knocked on the door and said, hey, look, sat him in the car. I was in the front seat. The agent was in the back seat, and he was in the passenger side. And okay, this is what's going on. You've got a previous history out of upstate New York, blah, 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 blah. We're going on and on and on. And he would never deny setting the fires. Never deny setting the fires. Well, while we're in there we're in the car talking to the husband, female agent, ATF agent goes in and talks with the wife.
Nice.
So we find out that he couldn't sexually appease his wife. So what he would do, he'd get pissed off and he'd go out and walk. And then the little bulb boom come on. That's his problem. That's his trigger. Because we couldn't figure out what was triggering this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we watched him, kept an eye on the house. He knew we knew.
Yeah.
But we just didn't have anything on him. We just didn't have enough to go do anything. Because we have a DA with our one of the ADAs that does arsons for us. So when we submit a case, it doesn't just go into
general. It goes to one person.
Yeah, we say, hey, incident number, and they pull it. So so they know, and usually we consult with them a lot. Say, hey, this is what's going on, blah blah blah, and they'll tell us.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier.
That's cool.
So they knew what was going on, and then they're like, it's just not there. It's just not there. We're like, okay, if we can't get him, stop him. Ultimately, we want to stop the property damage, property loss, and potentially anybody getting hurt, killed. So in the process of this, he burnt a 3-story assisted living home under construction. So that bumped the $1 million thing up. So they put big cameras around it, and we put fences around it and ran dogs in a dog run. I mean, it was like, like Stalag 13, man. You couldn't get in and out of this place.
Yeah.
So that's where he's burning some of the houses, the vacant ones. Go by the house, vacant. It's like, oh my God, where did this guy go?
Oh.
Yeah, up and moved. Boom, gone. 2-3 months go by. Run his driver's license. Got to figure he's going to surrender sooner or later, and maybe he'll pick up in another state and get a driver's license. Where he does, goes back up north, not the same state, but up north. And I called up there, and I called their fire department. I said, "Hey, this guy we've been dealing with here. He's addressed this and this, and it was a volunteer fire department. So I thought I was talking to like a fire guy, like with us down here, and not against volunteers, but yeah. So
they just don't deal with it on a regular basis,
right? So a police detective calls me. And he says, hey, is this guy such and such? I said, yeah, this is his address. This is what he's done. I said, I can send you my case report, blah, blah, blah. And he's on the other end of the phone. He goes, that son of a bitch. That son of a bitch. And I'm like, what?
He's already started.
Yes. And he burnt the chief of police wife's minivan.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes you pick the wrong targets.
Well, lesson learned on this one. And I'll get to that. He didn't. Okay. So I sent him my case report, had FedEx it. I said, all copies of everything. And if you laid our investigation out and laid his investigation out, other than snow in the background, it looked like it all happened in the same area. Same types of vehicles, same everything. So their ATF agent up there goes, while I'm interviewing him, we don't ask him. He said he was going to kill himself. We stopped. We backed off, and I had my firearm, so I kind of leaned back, right, so he couldn't grab it. So I was like, okay, and we just kind of left it alone. Lesson learned, no question should not be asked, because when they went up there, ATF agent asked him the same thing. He said he was going to kill himself, and he goes, well, how are you going to do that? I'm going to shoot myself. You got any guns? Well, he's already been a convicted felon. So he admitted to him a felon with a firearm, so they popped him for that up there. And I'm like, I could have asked him right there, and we could have done it, but... Yeah. But I backed off of it when he said that he was going to kill himself. He thought about killing himself. I was like, I don't want to push that button.
Yeah.
But I should have pushed it.
Dang.
I should have pushed it.
That's crazy. So he's $7 million?
And all those fires combined in the assisted living place, they burnt twice. So, at least $7 million.
Jeez.
We think it was more than that because there were some homes in the previous that we couldn't pull up to know the damage.
Yeah.
But there's damage.
Dang. So do you know how long he got?
No. But I have seen him on Facebook.
You have?
Yeah.
So he's out, or he just can use Facebook in jail?
No, he's out. I mean, firearms felons 5 years.
Right.
And the time period has been, what, 15 years?
Okay.
15, 17 years since?
You think he's cured?
No.
I don't think so either.
No. That's a psychological thing. And that's unfortunate because a lot of times people think they can control fire. Because everything else in their life is out of control. Yeah. So they can light a fire. And we have kids. We have juvenile fire setters. We see that with them. They'll set a fire because there's something going on in their life that they can't control, whether they're sexually abused or whatever it is. So they'll set a fire and put it out. And we interview them, and we got a juvenile fire setter program. So we ask them, there's a bank of questions, and then we score it. And then we can pretty much see that there's something going on. And then we can either refer them to mental counseling is usually what we do, and we they need help. The kid needs help because if not, it just doesn't go away. They're going to become an adult and do it. So
Man, that's a cool story.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's that you don't hear about that a whole lot, the serial stuff. On either side of the house, whether it's fire or police side.
But
serial killers. They're there.
You do know it if you're the beat officer in where we're doing our investigation, because we'll ask for your assistance on what's the norm for this area. Do people get out and move around a lot? Do they, what's the norm? And we have the beat officers, you guys, that they got valuable information of what's going on in the neighborhood, so we don't stick out like a sore thumb,
right?
Or we know who's the mayor of the neighborhood. If you want to know what's going on, go ask this address.
Yeah,
gotcha. So
one of the tricks I like to do when you mentioned you went and told the guy where you're going to be sitting there watching for whoever's starting the fires, and then you leave and they're there. One of my favorite things to do is when they're sitting up in a house and you can't go in and just get them, and they're not going to answer the door for you or anything like that. We'll call the girlfriend or the wife every time. We'll figure out their number somehow and we'll call them. Hey, this is Detective such and such. I understand that you're in a relationship with such. We want to talk with them. We're out on a call right now, but we plan on being to your place in the next 2 hours. Meanwhile, there's cars set up all around. Mm-hmm. And it usually doesn't take but 5 minutes. And they're out, the guy you're looking for is out the door in a car, and then you make the traffic stop.
The very first apartment, I became a police officer, and we did that. There was a druggie that when their cars were in the driveway, certain cars, we knew there was drugs going on, and they just hadn't left yet.
Yep.
So we would fake a traffic stop down on Jacksboro Highway, and we'd be at either end of the street, and they'd come out of that thing like roaches. Man, like you flip the light switch on, and we stop them at both ends, and it's like, oh.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah. I think it's so funny.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a good
scanners. Yeah, you get in the car and you listen, they have a scanner, so it's like,
yeah. It's a good strategy, man. I think any officers out there listening, try it. Trust me.
Sometimes you can think outside the box, keep it legal.
Yeah.
Don't break your policies, but you can do a lot of be creative investigation, as I call it.
Yeah.
Be creative.
And then when you're sitting in your undercover cars, just like you said, depending on the weather, when it's hot and it's summertime, obviously you can sit there with the car running and shouldn't have any issues. But when it's cold out,
you don't think about it because we don't get that cold all the time.
Yeah.
But it's something that you need to know because a fogged up car in a driveway.
Right.
And someone's like, who's in there?
Yep. And automatic headlights, that's another big common mistake.
With the brake light or...
Yep. Having your foot sitting on the brake, stuff like that.
And set the emergency brake. But now the new emergency brakes are all electric. So there's, used to be able to set the emergency brake and it would kill, your driving lights.
Yeah.
And now it's electric. So it's like...
My truck, I can't. It doesn't matter what you do. Those headlights, they'll glow in some form or fashion if that vehicle's running.
Oh, yeah. So I could turn mine off.
It's such a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
You got a 250 though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can't afford a diesel.
No, that's my work truck.
Oh, okay.
My personal is a Ram 1500.
Yeah, that's what I got. A Rebel.
I got the Lone Star.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Whatever the heck it's called.
Typical Texas guy. So, you born and raised Texan?
No.
No? Where you from?
New York.
No shit. You're a Yankee.
Shit, man.
A real Yankee.
Born in the Bronx.
What the fuck?
Yeah, WTF. Yeah.
Got down here as fast as you could, huh?
Yeah, my dad, his job became junior high.
Okay.
Came down to Texas, and that's when I went through high school, joined the military, go see the world.
Yeah.
Whoop, go to Fort Hood. What the hell's up with that?
My buddy, he's an E9 in the Army, Airborne Ranger, and he got stationed at Fort Hood running the tank division because you need to have experience outside of your, you got to be well balanced basically is what they want.
Oh, yeah.
So at that rank, E8 and E9, because it starts to become political. And he's you're fine. He's a war hero. I'll give him that. He's still an asshole, but he's my asshole. So, yeah, we grew up together. So, but yeah, he did Fort Hood for a while, and he's like, I get here and I look at this tank division. He's like, it's nothing but fat bodies.
I was first Cav.
Okay.
545th MP Company down at Hood. So there's first Cav, and there was second Armored Division, and there was all of the little ones. But that post is huge.
Oh, yeah.
They go out there and have war games, and first Air Cav would go out there with the helicopters and the mile system. And with military police, we were either securing something or blocking something. So we got to sit on the outside and watch these tanks go at it and then the strobe light would go off. And
right. You knew they were hit. Yeah.
He's out.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Yeah. We always tease the Army MPs because the Navy MPs train at our facility there at Lackland Air Force Base. So
we had Marines in McClellan with us. We had 2 Marine.
But the Army MPs, this may have been different when you were in, but today Army MPs, they are not allowed to have a round in the chamber, which blows my mind.
Yeah, but what you do is I used to take the magazine and put evidence tape over it. And then what you do is you would just basically put the magazine in the well and you just holster it. So what we used to do is that we used to buy our own magazines and we would drop that one, set it in our briefcase, and pump a live round. And we got on a range road, shoot rabbits and shoot stuff.
Yeah.
As long as the one that they issued us, that little evidence tape wasn't broke,
right?
You were golden.
Yeah.
So every time we turn back to the armor.
I mean, there's rumors. I can't confirm nor deny.
Statute of limitations run down. I can confirm.
But well, we would have in Montana where I was stationed. You know, the farmers, they hate coyotes and they hate prairie dogs. So they may have come up dead up there. I don't know how that happened.
Public service.
Yeah, but it's a similar premise of what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. You know, if there's a rule, someone's got to be like,
testing it, yeah.
How can we get around that?
So you brought what I thought was like a looking glass, but it's not a looking glass. Can you explain this debacle on my table here?
This is a law enforcement enema. Actually,
could you lube it up first before you use it, please?
No, just hang on.
Oh God,
relax,
breathe in,
deep breath. You know the Moz breathing they taught you when you're something similar to that. But this is a bugle. Back in the 1800s, 1800s, when they don't have what we have now, loudspeakers and PAs, the officer would talk into this and become a megaphone. So this became a symbol in the fire service. So if you look at the dress uniforms on firemen, you'll see a bugle, means a lieutenant.
Oh, okay.
So in the police department, you have a bar, a single bar.
Right.
But the fire department, we have a single bugle. So bugles represent rank in the fire department.
Okay.
So a chief will have 5. There's no higher than 5. So you'll see bugles, and it's going to be in a circle. If you look at it real carefully, they're bugles.
No shit.
So captains are 2. And it depends on the departments. They can cross them. It could be a chief rank or a deputy chief rank.
Yeah.
They could be 3, and then the 4 is assistant chief. So it just depends on the department. But they're all done with the bugles.
Is that made out of copper or brass?
Brass.
Okay.
See, actually, I need to see how shiny it is.
Oh, geez, yeah.
So that's been sitting in my house for a while.
Okay. I was gonna say if it's made out of copper, like that's a hot item. Then right now we could go sell that.
I'll trade you.
No.
See, there you go.
No.
Okay,
That's,
there you go.
That's worth more than the copper.
So I got that for my from 2000 to 2011. One of the departments that I retired from in 2011.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah, that's sweet. So you
could have got that or an axe, and I was in prevention, so I was like, I don't need an axe.
Okay.
So I got the bugle. It's a little bit different.
I consider it. If I could have one field tool as a cop, there's those tack axes, those tactical axes. Have you seen those?
The little crash axe, the black one?
Yeah. It's kind of like, it looks like a hollow type axe, but that would be good for breaking windows, for chopping.
Now, which one do you want?
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And then on the back end, it's got the pry bar on it. Have you seen it? I think Gerber makes it.
And it's got it's got like a loop in it with the axe part of it, and it's got a pick on the end of it.
Yeah.
Probably about that tall.
Yeah.
About 1 or 2.
Yeah. You got those?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, you got the hookup.
Fire department, we got all kinds of tools to break stuff.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Fire department doesn't do nothing. I mean, it's just our job. I mean, we cost money because we're either cutting hose, getting holes in hoses, we're breaking something. But, there's a joke. If you give a fireman an anvil and a rubber mallet and stick him in a room, he'll bend the rubber mallet and he'll bend the anvil and he'll lose the mallet and then blame it on the shift before. I mean, the big thing is that we'll buy stuff, or a vendor will come in and say, hey, we'll go, is it fireman proof? And they're like, what do you mean fireman proof? I said, give it to a fireman and give it to him for about a week. I said, you want to know how it could be broken or whatever? I said, give it to a fireman for a week. Yeah. And they will, and they'll figure out, they'll use it.
That's how our firearms instructors are with this thing, man. they'll be on the line, pop, 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 pop. They go through their mag, and then just like, wham, and they just throw it on the ground. And they pick it up, put a new mag in, see if it kept true zero. I mean, just nonstop, just trying to fuck these things up best they can.
Well, you want to know
that it's
beforehand that on the 5th drop, you're screwed.
Yeah, it's going to start breaking
but with
loose.
fireman stuff, and you've seen it, and you've held the tools, they're solid.
Oh, my God.
They've had to, the tools have evolved over time to where they're like, we got to make it damn near indestructible because of what we use them on and use them for.
Yep.
And we got to carry everything with us. It's not like we get to call SWAT out. We get to call these specialized units.
Yeah.
All the tools are on the trucks.
Right.
So if you got a force entry, it's on there. The bigger ladder trucks, the extrication tools, sometimes on the vehicle accidents, and sometimes you have your trench rescue and your hazmat there, specialty. But a legitimate house fire, they got to bring everything with them. They don't have time to go, time out, wait a minute, we got to go get such and such.
Yeah.
And it's got to work.
So if you were to give advice to anybody that wants to possibly seek out your career field, how would you guide them down the perfect path?
Get your law enforcement time. Become a cop. Become good at interviewing people. Become good at reading people. Because the fire side of it is you don't have to be a fireman to be a fire investigator, an arson investigator. Is it best that you did? Yeah, because that's one less thing. We don't have to go through all that. I don't have to go through burn patterns, why this does this and why does that. But you can learn that and you can understand that. And it's pretty much, I wouldn't say regimented, and it's not routine, but the fires are pretty much close to being the same. I mean, they burn a certain way, they do certain things. I just do something a little bit different sometimes, but people are different.
Yeah.
Interviewing people, what are you going to interview them? Or are you going to just sit there, play the good cop, bad cop, which a lot of times that don't work.
Yeah.
Are you going to, the interview, that's probably the biggest thing. Give me someone who's not to interview people and talk to people, and I can make them a fire investigator. Not a problem. Okay. So, because you're not going into fires. Yeah. I don't suit up and go fight fires no more. I wait till conditions are good for me to get in there. Even we have gas detectors, so carbon monoxide, all the gases. We make sure the levels are so we can get in there. Yeah. So we don't fight the fire no more. I mean, could I? Sure, but I don't have to. Yeah. So that's when the guys are like, "You ready to go in there? There's a little smoke coming over in the corner. Could you put that out, please?" Stuff like that. Go. Wait a minute. It's 95 degrees outside. I'm in my air conditioned truck. I'll get out and sweat here in a minute, but I can teach you that. Okay. It's tough to teach a fireman how to be a cop. Yeah. And that's just, I mean, you understand that. I mean, it's just, you see firemen, you see what they do. They're just non-confrontational. They don't interview people. I mean, they go on a scene, what's your meds, what's your medical history, you have to this, that. I mean, they're standing, but to sit there and be confrontational, they're not trained for that. That's not what they do.
Or being used to dealing with deceit. I mean, the majority, even some of the most honest people, there's some level of lies that they're telling cops when they start talking to them. So, yes.
We have people that accidentally set fires. I mean, period accident, but they think that the insurance is going to cancel them. Or a lot of times, unfortunately, if they do have an accidental fire and they're in an apartment complex, the complex won't. And what the complex sometimes will do is that if they have renter's insurance, the complex will call the insurance real quick. And they usually, based on the amount of money for renter's insurance, they've maxed their policy out. So anybody else that calls behind them. Oh, shit. Yeah. Bastards. So, yeah. So they get onto that. So that's why when we have apartment fires, of calling them accidental, we got to be real careful on that because it's only victim. Yeah. But so people will lie because they think that, and you're looking at the evidence going, we know what happened. All the stuff is burned, and it's a different state of what you used to seeing in, but we see this is melted, plastic, broken, but we can still find the bottom of that liquor bottles. We could find out, we'll find this and it'll be melted down plastic, but we know, asking you this, well, there's nothing here that should catch fire. You got the ability to burn, but what's the heat source to catch this stuff on fire? We got to figure what brought those two together to create a fire. I can have a lake of gasoline, and as long as you don't give me a heat source to light it off, it ain't going to do nothing. So that's where we got to put the two together. So when people are telling me this, and that, you're like, yeah. No. Yeah. You know, and then like cigarettes, the filtered cigarettes, the filters, they remain. You can burn, you can have a fire and burn, but those little white filters will remain.
No shit.
Hey, you a smoker? No, we don't smoke in this house. Really? And you find ashtrays and smoking material. It's like, you know, because they're afraid.
Yeah.
They're not lying because they're hiding a crime. They're just
they want the insurance company to.
And they think the insurance is going to deny them. They don't. Okay. You know, unfortunately, and you know it, there's no law for stupidity.
Yeah.
It's just stuff happens and carelessness, and it is what it is. But they'll pay it. But they may not renew your policy, but if you have it, they'll usually pay it.
I went and helped out on a securing a house. They had a lot of expensive art in this house, and their garage, the transformer blew just above their garage and caught their garage on fire, which torched that, completely went to their vehicle, but it hit the house,
right?
And then the house started to burn a little bit, but FD was able to get there in time to put it out. And shout out to FD guys, because it was a close proximity. Like, these were really nice houses all in this area, and they had one of those little narrow alleyways that goes between the back sides of the houses, and it was a wind tunnel.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yep.
And they still managed to get there in time and put that out. Electro fire, I don't understand the dynamics of a fire, but electro scares the shit out of me. So
it does when it shocks you.
Yeah, and
I've been lit up several times.
Especially the type of juice that's getting put out in those transformers, because you can actually see it and watch it jump and do all sorts of crazy stuff. So that was the only time I've ever seen what I would consider a fire pattern, where I could see what I thought. I mean, I could have been wrong, but it looked like I could follow the fire path. You know, like it obviously came out of this transformer.
You do car fires? You go on any car fires or look at them?
Occasionally, yeah.
Well,
I know they get hotter than you think they will.
Yeah, but if it's not a total burn where you can't even tell what model is it or color or whatever, you can tell an engine compartment fire from the damage in the engine compartment, and as it progresses into the passenger compartment, and it may not be a whole lot of damage in the passenger compartment to the trunk. So you go from the most burn to the least burn. So
yeah,
you could turn around. Even basic 101 is just that you could turn around and go, okay, it's not in the trunk. There's some damage. Okay, the interior of the car, it's got damage, but there's nothing like the damage under the hood.
Right.
So you got your area of origins could be under your hood. Now trying to figure out with all the electronics and everything possible, that's where it's like, but when it starts in the interior of a car, that's a whole different story. That raises red flags with us.
Right.
Because there's really nothing in a car's interior. I mean, it can happen, but if it was, every car down the street would be catching on fire. People
don't have cigarette lighters anymore.
Nah.
That's another one. You don't see those a whole lot.
But they do use them when they just want to light off the car. Oh, yeah. Our ignitable liquid fires, I guess gasoline's too damn expensive because they're just taking a lighter and just whatever they want to set on fire. And, oh, yeah. So it's like, even that's hitting the arson is the bad guys. They're hitting the crunch, the economy.
Cracks me up. The jokes I see about gas today, and people are like, oh, I got to go get surgery today, but the hospital's 20 miles away, so
can't afford it.
Yeah, I'm like, dang.
Yeah, that's been for a little while now. We haven't had. It's been on a downturn on that.
Yeah, I don't get why gas is so expensive in Texas. Like, we're producers. We should have it the cheapest.
Are we talking politics? You want?
No, I don't get into politics. I'm just saying.
I was going to say.
I'm saying from a dummy's term. I'm like, we're in Texas. We're the oil industry.
We got a direct pipipeline. I mean, we should have little spigots and little things come out the pipeline out of the ground and fill our vehicles up.
I mean, Alaska gets an incentive for being a resident. If you're a resident, you get like, I don't know. I'm just making this number up, but $2,000 a year.
Just to be a resident?
Just to be a resident because of the pipeline and stuff like that.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
But we don't have a state tax either. So,
look
at the amount of money we save.
Bro, yeah. You came from New York. New York and Michigan both tax stupid. So
on property? Freaking believable. I got cousins up there, and what they pay on taxes is like, that's why they're moving.
Yeah.
I mean, people that are retirees can't afford to. I mean, it's like $14,000, $15,000 a year. And I'm like, what?
Yeah. That's why it's nice down here. I tell everybody come here.
Not everybody. Well, you can come here, but leave your West Coast and East Coast politics.
Yeah.
Just don't turn. We're not a blue state.
Yeah.
We'll never hope to never be
just
one.
Leave it the way it is. And to change subjects, my buddy made me this recently. Doug Bangle. shout out to you, buddy. He made me and 2 other guys on my team these knives. He's getting into knife making. So, yeah, it's a pretty cool little knife. On the back side here, it's even edged.
Serrated?
Nope, not serrated.
Oh, like an edge.
Yeah, it's got like an edge on it.
So you can cut in, cut
like
out.
Seat belts, I guess. I have not sharpened it by any means, but yeah, it's a pretty cool little knife that he made. I guess he's trying to get better at it, and I definitely couldn't produce something like this. But this is a cool knife, very comfortable, and shout out to him.
Yeah, super.
But what hobbies you got?
Motorcycles.
Motorcycles?
Hunting, fishing.
Hell yeah.
I got a bass boat.
Oh, right.
I got a Harley. My wife's got a Harley.
Yeah, I won't ride a motorcycle.
Why?
Nah, I'm too scared.
But you're a cop.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, too scared. I'm a cop who's worked too many motorcycle accidents.
And I haven't.
I'm just saying. That's what you...
When a man upstairs opens a book and goes,
that's
my
my
name's
reason.
There. Nothing I can do about it. We've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen people die that we're like going, huh?
Most motorcycle accidents aren't the motorcycle driver's fault. The ones that I see.
I'm fixing to make a lot of people mad. But the Harley riders, on occasion, you do have them drive like idiots.
Yeah.
But the sport bike riders
even more
are...
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
they're
we
out
have our
splitting lanes and...
Yeah. I mean, you can't stop one of those things 150 miles an hour, and
right.
traffic comes to a stop in front of you. You're the bug on the windshield or the bug on the back or whatever.
I had one. I had to pull off the freeway because I don't get shook up very much, but I was shook up because I almost killed him. And I was driving down the fast lane, and all of a sudden we're starting to slow down. So I'm trying to peek.
POV or patrol?
Personal vehicle. So I'm trying to peek just to see. And this dude went up the shoulder on the side of the fast lane, so the left side. And when I went to peek, he had to dodge my truck. And I watched his back end do one of these because, the shoulder's full of silt and all that stuff. Yeah. And I thought he was done. And then he leveled it out and then came to a stop.
Lucky.
Yeah. But I almost...
You had the front seat of the...
Yeah. Almost killed that dude.
And you don't see him. I mean, if you don't see him, when you hear him, you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's like, where? Yeah.
I had no clue he was coming. And there's no reason I shouldn't have to look up that side.
Well, if you pull off to the shoulder, no one should be passing you on the shoulder.
Yes.
So you know that. And so if you would, sometimes you're like, you dodge over a little bit, go, okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So, fishing, like I said, fishing, hunting.
You like bass fishing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a kayak.
Am I good at it? What?
Yeah. A Hobie. It's a good one.
You fish off it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's
those are some neat kayaks. I've seen people have to like really,
It took a while because I always was a standing fisherman. I like to stand and cast. So it took some force to get used to.
So what do you do if you get a good sized fish? Can it take you around the lake?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it could. It could pull you a little bit. But the beauty of that Hobie is the pedals. So
okay.
I'm pretty smart about keeping it in reverse. So wherever I'm aimed when I'm casting. So if a fish hits it and he starts trying to pull me, because I'm going the opposite way, just trying to keep myself out of it. Because I'm always fishing lily pads and stuff like that. So I don't want to get dragged into that crap. And
so you do surface top water baits?
Yeah, I do that. Bite and Fight Angler, give him a little shout out. I found this guy online. He just started making his lures. I was his first customer.
Cool.
And he was selling a bag of like 10 soft lures for $5. And I was like, well, shit.
Yeah, $5 worth a try.
Yeah, worth a try. So I bought 3 or 4 colors. And I didn't know Texas fishing that well. I still don't know Texas fishing that well, but I know bass. So I was like...
That's why it's called fishing and not catching.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So... purple is one of my favorite colors to fish with all year long. Like
my favorite color is the one they bite on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't give it.
Yeah.
I've got like 4 or 5 rods laid out with different whatever. So I'll chunk this one and see what it does. Now, because a finder, my fish finder will go fish. Yeah. But it's like, there's nothing that says, the chartreuse, the pumpkin, the this or the that, or they're doing this. And it's like,
I try to tell people, if you're using a fish finder to find fish, you're not going to catch them. If you're using a fish finder to look at depth and drop offs, you're going to find all the fish you need.
Yep. But there's nothing between that goes, this is what they'll hit on, or this is what they like. And it's like, all right. Now, striper fishing, love the striper fish. I'll go up to Texoma, and it's almost like you can't not catch them.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Striper, is that
It's a hybrid bass.
Okay.
You can catch 10 of them, and only 2 can be over 22 inches. So you'll catch them to where 24, 25, 30 inches, and you got to chunk them back if you already got your 2.
Okay.
And they're monster fish. And I'm telling you, there's saltwater. That's probably the hardest hitting, fighting freshwater fish you'll catch is striper.
Okay, so it's a freshwater fish. That's the other thing I was going to
Just go up to Texoma.
I went to a buddy of mine.
You can't do them in your kayak. They will pull you. Oh, I'm telling you.
Really?
The rod straight down.
Oh, no shit.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we did, what are they called? Redfish off of...
You went to saltwater?
Round...
Snappers or redfish?
Round Rock? No, not Round Rock. What was the name of that?
Port A? Galveston?
No, not Galveston. It's it's not too far, maybe 2 or 3 hours from San Antonio. Man, if I could remember the name of that place. Rockport.
Rockport, okay.
That's what it was, Rockport. And we're fishing in like 2 foot of water.
Oh, so you see them?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never done.
Yeah, it was fun. We're on kayaks, and they're a fun fighting fish, but they taste damn good. That's one of my favorite fish.
Was it
eat.
redfish?
Yeah, they were red.
Or red snapper.
Red snapper. That's what I think it was.
Oh yeah,
red
like
snapper.
A pinkish.
Yeah,
yeah.
Very cool color when they're in the water.
And they're yeah, you're right. They're good.
Yeah. Oh, it tasted so good.
But the deeper you go out, the bigger they are. So we used to go on a charter boat and do a 12-hour charter boat, and we'd limit, and we'd come back with fish, and then there was guys on the dock on a pier when you get there to fillet them for you. And
yeah, dude, that was
striper's the same way.
Is it? Is it a good tasting fish?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes. I don't eat bass
because I don't eat bass.
Yeah, but striper, oh yeah.
Yeah, I sports
really
fish. I'll catch them and I throw them back when I go bass fishing. But if I hit, because inevitably you'll hit crappies, you'll hit well, I don't think Texas has perch like I'm thinking of perch.
But catfish. But catfish, you almost have to go after them. But on occasion, I've caught a catfish.
I laugh my ass off.
It's a different fight. You're like, what the hell is this? And then it's a catfish.
I think it's hilarious when you hit a catfish on a action bait.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it doesn't happen that often. They're not. They're bottom feeders for the most part.
I gaffed one. I must have been running my deal through, and he bumped into it.
Oh yeah.
Because when he was coming up sideways and trying to fight, he was like, "What the hell have I got on there? Doormat?" I flounder fish before, and that's what it felt like because there's so much surface area of the fish. And this catfish is coming up sideways. And I'm like, what the hell? And finally saw him like,
I sent pictures to this guy, Justin Russell, I believe is his name. He's the one that owns Bite and Fight Angler. And I sent him all the pictures of the very first week that I used his bait. And I was trying to, he's a new business guy. He's just starting out. I was trying to do him a solid and let him know, hey. And I took pictures of just about every fish you can catch in Lake Fork. That's where I was fishing at.
Kayak?
On the kayak, and all from his baits. So it caught a catfish, it caught crappie, it caught bass, it caught. I think they called them a whitefish.
Those are your stripers
or sandfish or
sand bass.
Sand bass.
Your sand bass and your stripers are pretty close, similar to each other.
Okay, I heard there's stripers in that lake. I just didn't happen to catch one. I don't think.
If you want to go striper fishing, let me know. We'll go striper fishing.
Okay, I'm down. I love fishing, man. I just it's just about getting the equipment ready.
Well, we can do is we can. There's a guide I use up there in Texoma. You pay him what you think the fishing was worth. So, So I pay $150. I paid him $150. Gave him $25. So I paid $175. And we were on the lake right as sun was going up, and there were 4 of us. Both my boys, their friend, and me. So 4 of us. We limited out when we were back at the Hooters in Sherman by noon.
Damn. All right.
That's how fast you couldn't. As fast as you set it down at the bottom, crank it up one time, boom, reel it back in. Oh yeah,
that's fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Dang.
I got pictures. I'll show you after.
He cuts them up, bags them up for you, and all that.
It's all part of it.
Oh shit. Yeah. I hate cleaning fish.
I don't mind cleaning them. It's just when somebody else is going to do it.
Yeah. Yes. It's just like you go hog hunting or whatever. Like
that's
I'm not a big fan. I'm probably going next weekend.
Hog hunting.
Yeah. Yep. We go with dogs. Yeah, my buddy's got dogs. That's what he does.
Kill them with a knife, or do you actually shoot them?
No, with a knife.
Grab by the hind legs.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, I've only done it one time.
I've seen on TV.
I've gone a couple times, and but me personally, I've only done it once, and yeah, it was intense. I'm like, this is a different.
I've seen it on TV, and I was like.
It's just really.
Now, I don't mind if you want to grab it from behind. I'll stab the hell out of it.
Yeah,
but for me to go, I didn't grab it. I don't know.
I didn't grab it.
They're mean.
Yeah.
They'll turn on you.
And the dogs, it's really interesting to watch how they work together. And it's very primal. That's the only way I can describe it. Like the dogs know their jobs. They know what to do.
Nature at its worst or best, or just shows how nature works.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. And then you see the one thing that I did get to see is the destruction that them hogs cause, and the whole reason that these, landowners want you to come to their property and just help deal with the nuisance, because
the homes out there up in Arlington, out there by River Legacy Park.
Yeah.
I mean, nice, beautiful homes, and overnight they'll come in there. You never hear them. The people go outside and go like, "What in the hell happened to my yard?" Looks like a bomb went off in their yard. Yeah, looks like you took a tiller and just ran all over the place with it. And it's like, the hogs. Yeah, they're good eating.
Yeah, they are.
A lot of people don't know that. Feral hogs. Yeah, not the big ones, but the
150, 200 pounders.
Yeah, bacon, not so much bacon, but pork chops and breakfast sausage.
The sausage, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The jalapeno cheddar sausage.
Now we're talking.
And I'm not talking like, the jalapenos you get at Taco Bell. I'm talking like.
We used to go, we used to get our stuff done in Munster, Fisher's. It's a German restaurant, German deli. So when they make specialty meats out of your meat,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's worth the drive.
We're going to Michigan here in December, where we're from, but we're going to stay in Frankenmuth, which is a German town. I mean, set up like old Bavaria. Like it's very, they still wear the lederhosen, however you say it. But it's all of that, all the good German meats and cooking.
Because my dad's full-blooded German and my mom was full-blooded Italian. So when it came to food,
my wife's not a big fan of German food, which is disappointing, but that's okay. She doesn't need to be.
I don't know. I mean, there's nothing like crazy about it. I mean,
she doesn't like sauerkraut. She doesn't.
Well, never mind.
See where I'm getting at?
Put a fork in that one. You're done.
Yeah. So
that takes that.
We went to what's the Epcot? We went to Epcot, and it's all the countries, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like a food festival thing, and Epcot's my favorite spot. It's our favorite spot because we're foodies. Like, that's when we travel somewhere, we're not traveling for the sights, we're traveling for the food.
Right.
So we hit up. I wanted to do the German place, so that was the first place we ate for dinner, and the kids hardly ate anything, and my wife hardly ate anything because they just didn't like it.
I mean, there's stuff like rouladen, and
I know
there's no sauerkraut involved in it, and sausage. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, just don't care.
Bratwurst, not liverwurst. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Lightwurst.
She's a mac and cheese and chicken girl. So
it's what it is.
Yeah. No, she branches out. We went to the Bahamas the Caribbean. We went to the Caribbean a couple times, and the local food, try all the local food, and she was into it. So something about German food for her, I guess.
Yeah. And we went on a cruise one time, and the maitre d' and the waiter, they were from Jamaica, and there's the normal cruise food, and we got to talking about jerk, Jamaican jerk and stuff like that, and meat pies. Well, the cook in the back was from Jamaica, female. So she comes out to there and she goes, you want the jerk and the meat pies? We're like, chicken? We're like, yeah. And they made it for our table, especially for our table.
No shit.
Yeah, it wasn't on the menu.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah. So it was like, we tipped them very well, but it was just like you're saying, you want certain things, you go certain areas, and you had Jamaicans who are, and this one's a professional chef on a cruise ship, so you knew what you were going to get was going to be,
We did, I did a charter fishing in Antigua, and it was during their marlin season. Like it just started. So I think it was called the Old English Port, and there's an Old English rum and all this stuff. So on that island, but we went out and went fishing, and I ended up catching like a mahi and a wahoo, and I caught several fish, and the fish were so big. I gave the cab driver that took us, he waited for our trip to be over. Like he stayed there. Yeah. Because he knew. He knew.
Yep.
And so he got like, I think we gave him one whole side of a fish just because we couldn't possibly, and I'm not going to ship it home.
Right.
That wasn't the purpose of the trip. If that, if you go to Alaska or whatever and you go salmon fishing or whatever, then you get that stuff freeze dried and sent back home, stuff like that. But that wasn't the purpose. So I shared, and they brought it to the resort that we stayed at, which is a small resort, only like 150 guests at most. And the cooks prepared the meals for us.
That's too cool.
Yeah.
You can't get any fresher than that.
No. And so they would cook it for us. And they said, do you want to share it with the guests? Because you're not going to eat all this. And I said, I want to share with the staff. And then whatever's left over, the guests can have.
There you go.
And they fucking loved that. And they were like, are you sure? And I was like, absolutely.
Yeah, because usually they're the ones that don't get it.
Right.
But they do the most amount of work for minimal pay.
Yes.
In some of the places. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
And that's where I really honed in my skills on getting the best service. We had a person we liked, and I went up to them and the manager said, listen, this person is one of the best employees you have. I want them to be my person for everything that we need.
Right.
And they were like, okay, yes, sir. You know, they're going to do anything. Yes. And so I went to her and we're like, here's $100 right now. We're going to continue to tip you throughout this trip. We were there 7 days. And then at the end, we gave her another big tip.
That's a ton of money for them.
Yes.
There. Yes. Oh, yeah.
And it, you know, we weren't paying for, you know, slave labor or anything like that. It's just when I asked for a drink, she's the one that brought it.
Right.
You know,
we do that on cruise ships. We find a bar, tip the bartender well, and then.
Yep. And I do that with valets. If we stay at a hotel, you know, and you're not comfortable knowing where to park and all that stuff, go up to the valet. Hey, here's $50 to start. I want my car wherever. I want you to be the one to get it. I don't care. I'll call you. Here's my number. I'll send you a text message when we're coming down. And I learned that from other valet guys that
tell me how to do it. The tricks of the trade and how to,
And really, it works. Yep. And you get great service and they benefit because they're making better tips than they probably would have made. So anybody out there, that's a tip.
Oh, you're right. The tip for the tip. Here's another tip. Don't eat yellow snow.
Yeah.
That's a good tip, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. It always sucked having a long name. I could write my first name in the snow, but I could never write my last name.
You know, my last name has got 4 letters in it. Yeah. 2 of them are the same. You know how they screw that up?
They switched that.
The B's, the E's, they'll add an extra one. And it's like.
Yeah, because I would pronounce it Ebel.
And I'd acknowledge you.
Okay.
Ebel, Abel. It's German, so it depends on how it's said. Yeah. That's what my dad taught me. He goes, none of them's wrong. It's just how they would pronounce it. And I'm like, oh.
Because I say Ebel because I heard someone else say it. But if I were to look at when I first looked at it, I thought it was Ebel.
But I wouldn't correct you because there's several ways of saying it. So
mine is Levine, but I get called Levine, Lavigny. Every coach I've ever had, Lavigny. Every coach. So that's fine.
And you tell them what it is, they still screw it up.
I just leave it. It doesn't bother me. I know as long as I know you're talking to me, that's all that matters.
Make eye contact and your lips are moving, I'll pay attention.
Yep. Laverne. There's not even an R in my last name.
See, with my last name, you should know my wife. You know of my wife.
I know of her. Yeah. Yep. See the emails and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I finally put 2 and 2 together, when you guys told me, and I was like, oh, okay.
That's who that is.
Yeah.
That's another whole podcast.
Right.
She comes home, you're not going to believe reports and this and that. And she knows the laws better than some police officers.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, is this? I'm like, huh? So I'm like, no, that ain't right. Something's missing.
Yeah. I made an argument today. They're a paralegal. That's their job. So a paralegal is basically you work for an attorney doing all their paperwork stuff. And they're trying to argue that they know the law. And I said, that's about as good as a bailiff that sits in a court all day long.
Well, it depends on how they're giving it to you because it's illegal. You know,
right?
You know, I get it because a paralegal, they need to know their lane because if they get too far off and they start giving legal advice,
this guy wasn't giving legal advice. He was giving opinion that and I don't want to get political, but he was giving advice about stuff that he probably shouldn't have been, but bragging that he knew what he was talking about because he's been a paralegal for 8 years, and I'm like that. That like again, that would
I've been
be
in
like
the fire service and police for 35 years. I'm not a chief,
right? And I'm definitely not giving legal advice.
Yeah, I'm not.
Even as a cop, like I try to tell. That's one of the biggest misconceptions is that police know all the laws or know laws. Period. I'm like,
how many times I've done something and gone back and opened up the book and go,
Oh, that's the offense.
I have a rule of thumb. When in doubt, don't.
Yeah.
Because you can always get a warrant. You can get out of custody warrant if and rather than have an
Yeah.
egg on your face, you can always come back and get them later. So, oh yeah.
I know the basics of the stuff that I constantly have to enforce. I know when you've robbed somebody. I know when you've assaulted somebody. I know when you stole. But then it starts to go from there. It goes down different branches, and I have to
1, 2, 3, and 5, and it's 6.
Yeah.
And it was what's a culpability, and
You're right.
that's like the one I just recently did was on that tampering with government document.
Yeah.
Completely out of my wheelhouse, completely out of the fire side. But it was our document that they tampered with, so it was like okay, but I didn't know it, but I knew the people to call to help me go down that path and tell me, yep, this is the better charge than this is because of this. It's like, oh, okay, because with tampering, you either did or you didn't.
Yeah.
There's no gray area.
Yep.
So I'm like, still a second-degree felony. So I was like, okay, So it's again, and that's advice to anybody. If you don't know, don't just go back.
Yeah.
If you have time, research it, and then you can file out a custody warrant later. You can go get them later.
A lot of times for us, you've put somebody in cuffs. They're under arrest, and they're at, what am I being arrested for? And you're like, I don't specifically know yet. Just give me a second. They hate that.
Yeah, I know you've done A.
Yeah.
I just want to see if there's a bigger fish,
Yes. Yeah.
and that's, And then we've had the arsons where we come on the scene and they got them handcuffed to the back of the patrol car, and we're like going, what's the charge? Well, arson. Hang on. So you go in there, you're like,
ticket arson or?
Yeah, and you go, you might want to let him go.
Yeah.
Because you don't have an offense.
You're right.
And when you handcuff him, it handcuffs me because if you're not in custody and under arrest, I don't have to Mirandize you. I can talk to you. But the second you put the cuffs on, it's like, you're killing me. Now you changed the whole ball game for me.
Yeah.
So, for any police officer, that fact.
Yeah. I try to help out. Like I have some really good detectives that work around me that I've learned a lot from. McMeans is probably the best, the standard of detectives for me. He was on the show, former narc guy. But one of the things he taught me is, if you don't plan on arresting them that day, you can just do a consensual interview rather than Mirandizing them. He's like, because you're going to read that Miranda and you're going to shut them down. Have you messed with juveniles? No. I mean, I know I don't.
They take them in front of a judge, and the judge's like, "No, son, you don't have to talk to them, and you're in the other room."
Yeah.
And the kid comes out, doesn't talk to you, like, surprise?
Yeah. Oh no, I don't. I'm so glad I'm not on the juvenile side because that is just a ball of frustration. Can be. Yeah, and it's not a ball of frustration because stuff doesn't stick. It's a ball of frustration because the entire circle of the issues is the parents. It's the nobody's watching these kids. They're being raised by the streets. They're a perpetual cycle of crime.
School's problem.
Yeah,
and somebody else's problem. But it's like, no, mom, dad.
Yep. And you don't want to. This kid went and stole a car from a gas station. Somebody went inside, left their car running. They jump in the car, take off. They go joyriding. They break into cars using that car, and then they dump the car. And you always find them.
Don't burn it.
Yeah, they don't. They typically don't.
That's cool because I'm out of it.
Yeah. And I look at it from the police side, and I'm just like, okay, it's not fair to the victims, all this stuff that they did.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's not fair to a 12-year-old kid that stole that car and went out and did that. There's something that got us here. That's not normal behavior.
Right.
And I don't want the system to screw this kid over for the rest of his life. But we got to do something.
Yeah, you just can't. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's the fix?
That's another whole podcast.
Yeah, it is. What's the fix?
Starts with the parents.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying there's some good parents and there's just some bad kids. It happens. But a lot of times, if you go back and if you interview the parents, you can see
well, you've got parents that were raised by parents that didn't have parents.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes back that far.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a tough part. So, well, sir, anything else you'd like to bring up? No? Because
I think of anything. I mean,
we still need to do a whiskey podcast.
Oh, we do one.
And I know we got plenty more podcast stuff that we could do. We could have you and the wife on. And we could explain how working as much as you can keeps a healthy marriage.
Oh yeah, and
So
how
you never
we've done
see-
it for 39 years.
So you never see each other, and then you
we
go,
do.
Then
No, actually, when
I'm
when I
messing
was
with
working shift and with 24s, yeah, but it was 24 hours. It was great, but that's what I said. When I went 8 to 5, it was an adjustment because even the kids were like, "Dad's home all the time now."
Oh,
Crap.
gee,
I
yeah.
was usually home 2 days a week, and I'm
Right.
down for the third. So it's like raise hell for 2 and be good for Dad when
Yeah.
he's home. But
Yeah.
she'd love to. I think even on your RMS side and some of the questions that
yeah,
she can give out to the officers and just in general for reports and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I
Yeah,
don't think
for
she'd
sure.
mind doing it.
Well, brother, I appreciate you coming out and doing
man,
the
are you
show.
kidding me?
What'd you think? It's kind of neat.
We can, you know what? We can go on. I mean, how long have we been doing this?
Hour and a half, almost 2 hours.
Yeah, and it just
Yeah.
goes by, and I'm sure we can come up with another topic and
It goes by quick, doesn't it?
talk about all the fatality fires that go to burnt bodies, and then that's a whole different thing,
Right.
But
Save it.
yeah.
'Cause
But I guess the biggest thing I hope people get from this, as far as my job and your job, is that if you don't know, call.
Yeah.
If you have a fire, something's involved in fire, call an investigator. Someone's on call for you.
Yeah. You want me to give your number out on this?
No, I get enough. Calls, but we'll help each other. I mean, seriously, if you were to call me and you couldn't get a hold of someone, I would talk to Eric and I go, "Yeah, man, this is what you got to do." But let your fire guys know for some reason, and we do that sometimes. We'll cover other cities while their investigators on vacation or out of town, or we sometimes do investigation for cities because they don't have fire. They have a fire marshal, but they don't have an investigator.
Yeah.
So there's some of the smaller cities that we do their investigations for them.
Okay.
So that can legitimately happen where we can have a small town department call us and say, "Hey, this is what I got," and we'll say, "Hold on, with secure the scene. I'm on my way."
Okay.
On the bomb squad side of it, if you've been caught out there on something suspicious, don't go kicking it. Don't go near it. Keep a perimeter.
Just a homeless backpack. How many times have you seen that?
Or not. You just. There's a video out in Quebec when a police officer picked up a bag. It was a shopping bag on the side, and it had a device in it and blew him up. And it's just like,
Yeah.
you just don't want someone eulogizing you going, "Yeah, dummy."
Yeah.
So
Yep.
there's people out there. There's resources. Call us.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate it, brother. It's been fun having you.
As